Before I begin with this review will contain spoilers. From beginning to end, this video will contain spoilers. I repeat, it will contain spoilers. So I don't want to hear any complaining, as guess what? You have been warned. Now, let me start off by answering the question that everyone is asking. No, this game is not better than The Witcher 3. It just isn't. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, it just isn't. It just isn't, and I don't care for any argument that says that it is. Now, this doesn't mean that it's a bad game, because it is still an amazing game. It's just not better than the best game. Now, first let's talk about how this is a very ambitious and different Zelda game. A game that also takes a lot of features from other well-known games. Those towers you have to climb, thank you Ubisoft, thank you Far Cry. That open world reminiscent of the original Xenoblade, thank you Monolith, and I guess we should thank you again because you did have your hand in contributing to the development of this game. Now, that inventory management system, the creation of elixirs, hunting wild animals, gathering monster parts, replenishing health from edible nature in the environment, multiple armor sets with unique bonuses for wearing an individual set, hunter-gathering, multiple fairies that function as a blacksmith? Damn. It's like Nintendo copied straight out of The Witcher 3, straight out of CD Projekt Red's book. But hey, if you're going to copy someone, there's no fault in copying the absolute best. Now let's talk about the gameplay. It's fun, it's flexible. The combat is fun, although a little one-dimensional. You're going to be side dodge and flurry attacking and shield parrying for the entire game. That's about the duration of your actual combat abilities. The different unique weapons are cool, from swords, axes, to spears, to two-handed, to one-handed, to boomerangs, and even elemental rods, to even elemental weapons. And sometimes your weapon may even have a special attribute. Then you have the bow and arrow with its many different elemental arrows, so while the combat moves and abilities are in fact limited in my opinion, the many different weapons do change things up and keep things kind of varied. The runes are pretty cool, and they can be used in both combat, movement, and even puzzle-solving situations. You get a bomb, a remote bomb, magnet, stasis a la Dead Space, ice block making, and a camera. The bombs function, as you would imagine. You throw them, they blow up. Stasis works a la Dead Space, but frozen objects can be hit and launched in a matter of when Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure hits someone when using the Worldo. Tokyo Tamari. Anyway, the ice is pretty cool because you can create ice pillars in the water to jump on, you can block projectiles with it, or you can just stop water from flowing in general. The magnet allows you to move metallic objects, and the camera, well, you guessed it, it's a camera. Now, all of these rune abilities separate are cool, but combined you can actually do some pretty cool things with them and combine them to solve puzzles. You can do something like create an ice pillar, then pick up a slab of metal to make a bridge, or then use stasis to jump on a platform, smack it multiple times only for it to propel you when the time is then resumed. You can even use magnet to pick up metal bricks in the field and slam them into enemies like the Hinox Eyes, which I did a lot, or you can actually slam them into those stupid Guardian helicopters, which I also did a lot. All these abilities combined with the hang glider do make exploring the world fun, and in the world, it's pretty fun because it's pretty open-ended and it allows you to pretty much do what you want to do with these abilities. Chances are, if you think you can do it, then guess what? You can do it. Want to chop down a tree to make wood? Go for it. Want to blow up a tree to get apples? You can do that too. Want to stasis a boulder, smack it around, jump on it, and then watch it fly across the map like Tao Pai Pai on a tree? Well, guess what? You can do that too. I like the world in this game. There's plenty to explore with plenty of ways to do it. Oh, did I mention that you can also use your shield as a surfboard? You can. It's fun. I never did it because I did it with my best shield and my shield degraded and eventually broke, so I just said, you know what? Forget about that. Now, let's talk about the story. I did not like the story to this game, and honestly, Nintendo seems to be incapable of creating a decent story. The game literally makes you go out and find Link's memories to uncover the story. I'm sorry, Nintendo, but you expect me to go hunting around this giant open-ended world, this giant map, looking for photographed locations to get the story. Yeah. There's YouTube for that. I'll just let you know that there is YouTube for that. So if you want to experience a coherent story without spending hours upon hours upon hours for searching for random locations, then yes, there is YouTube for that. Hell, I never had any interaction of any memory with Zelda outside of the flashback on the Desert Megazord and the very ending of the game. The entire story literally told through flashbacks you have to spend hours looking for, and that to me is just absolutely insane. The characters you meet in this game are bland and boring. There's not one memorable character in this game. There are no real story arcs for anybody involved in this story, and honestly, outside of Impa, the four guardians, and their four successors, nobody in this world matters. Not to mention, you get to do the same repeated "this guy killed me 100 years ago" speech every time you fight one of the bosses in one of the four Megazords. But worse than the characters that populate this game is the main villain. He doesn't talk, he doesn't speak, he doesn't plan, he doesn't do anything. Calamity Ganon might as well be called Phazon Ganon, because that's exactly what he looks like. That's exactly what he does. He is a Phazon Ganon, Cloud of Darkness from Final Fantasy III hybrid. That is what he is. And even worse is Calamity Ganon has no henchmen or followers. He has nobody. He has no right-hand man. He has nothing. The best he has is the Higa clan, who is a cult of Ganon worshippers that will randomly try to assassinate you throughout the game. Though why they worship Ganon was never revealed, or if it was, I never found out why. And this is one of my biggest issues with the game. The enemies. 99% of everything you will fight in this game, more or less, is a wild animal or a wild monster. You don't fight any intelligent life in this game. Every enemy outside of the Higa clan leader, because he actually talks to you, is just some animal in the wild waiting to be slaughtered by you. There's really no personality in anything you fight or in anything you engage against. They simply want to kill you because they are hostile wildlife that will probably kill anything outside of their own. So let's talk about the one thing that doesn't bother me. While the graphics are passable and they don't bother me, they don't get in the way, there is one other thing that does bother me, and that is the performance, and that is the frame rate issues. They are absolutely dreadful, and they're absolutely dreadful, especially in combat. If you break a weapon on a moblin, the game will literally come to a 0 frames per second halt for a second. I understand the majority of the game is exploration and not fighting, but no reviewer should find this game acceptable for this glaring flaw that will forever hold this game back from being a top game where it could have and should have been. I'm sorry, 30 frames per second is awful, but constant dips into the 20 and constant freezes of the game, dropping down to literally nothing, it's just unacceptable. But let's talk about some things I did like. The exploration, the flexible exploration. There's nothing like surfing on your shield, paragliding, hang gliding, whatever you want to call it, riding around your horse. There's plenty of environments to go and choose from. I did like the challenge shrines. They did have plenty of nice little puzzles and everything. Although sometimes I just really wish I was in a combat shrine, because I kind of just didn't feel like doing a puzzle when I had like 3 tokens and just wanted to get to the next heart. Things like that. There's plenty of variety in the environments, from jungles to a desert to marshes to mountains to lakes to snow to lava, hot environments, cold environments, dusty, foggy. There's a lot, and the environment can even affect your game. Too hot, you'll take heat damage. You gotta wear, heat protective clothes. Too cold, you'll take cold damage. You gotta, bundle up. Too dusty, you'll take dust inhalation damage. Jungles, you can set them on fire. Water can conduct electricity for electrical attacks. You can melt ice. You can do a lot of different things. This is a sandbox to, as I said, gives you tons of tools to do tons of things and tons of unique ways of doing things. Now, what I hated. Oh man, what I hated. The rain. Oh my god. I hate the rain. How many times am I halfway up a cliff only for me to get stuck in the rain? Or halfway up a tower only for me to be stuck halfway up the tower because of the rain? Then you're stuck sitting there for 10 to 15 minutes waiting for the freaking rain to go away. Because if you try to climb during the rain, well, guess what? You can't. The frame drops I didn't appreciate, but I already talked about it earlier. There was a huge lack of story in my opinion, the lack of a strong supporting cast of characters, an overall weak, non-existent antagonist whose really only main purpose was mindless destruction for no apparent reason, unlike, Ganon's prior games where he had a desire to rule and conquer. This thing just wanted to kill things. Yeah, that's it. And then I didn't like that Ganon had no henchmen. There was no right hand. There was nobody acting on Ganon's behalf. There was a lack of towns, and no. Those stables with horses don't count as legit towns. There was no Novigrad in this game, so if you're getting your hopes up for any kind of town or village or society like that, guess what? You're not going to find it. You will find horses that control worse than cars from GTA 4, though. But then again, you can increase your bonds so they'll actually listen to you and function well. There's only 4 dungeons in this game. Let's talk about that. These 4 main dungeons are not fun. They are glorified shrines. They are glorified puzzles. This game does not provide you with the awesome dungeons and temples of the past from like Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time or A Link Between Worlds. You don't get that. What you get is a giant puzzle with some sort of map rotation and a slightly different variant of the only boss in the game that you have to fight 4 different times. And last but not least, even more so hated than the rain, is weapon durability. Oh my god. Don't ever fall in love or think you're going to fall in love with any weapon in this game because it's going to break and shatter before you even get to enjoy it. Sometimes I've had to go through 2 to 3 weapons in one fight because everything in this game is made out of paper. Then when you find a good weapon, you're hesitant to use it. You don't want to use it. You want to save it for something big, for something useful, into which you end up holding on and hoarding this said weapon until you get better weapons and it's the worst weapon in your inventory, and that's when you use it, get rid of it and break it because then it is finally expendable. So I was happy I found out about the Master Sword when I obviously looked in the forest because where else is the Master Sword in any Zelda game? And I simply used that all the time and called it a day. Sure, it has a recharge time, but hey, you can't break it. The music in the game is okay, nothing memorable, which is a shame. The only thing I really took a liking to was the battle music against some of the bigger enemies out in the world. The economy is actually useful for once in this game. Rupees can buy you food, armor, arrows, etc. You even have a monster trader, which you can buy different things from him. You can trade the gears and things like that. One thing I will say is do not sell any of your monster parts. Actually, you can't really sell anything because in the end of the game, you will need a lot of those things and you don't want to be caught farming. Unless you're BG. Anyway, the voice acting is, come on, Nintendo? You gotta go all out with this. I mean, some of the characters speak with great voice acting and then all of a sudden, it goes straight to text. It's so lazy. Just do full-on voice acting like every other game in 2017. Now, there is motion control in this game, a couple of unnecessary shrine puzzles with them, but more importantly, you can aim your bow and your camera with it. Needless to say, I turned it off because motion controls to me are stupid. Now, this game is not, I repeat, is not a 98% on Metacritic, at least not in my opinion. This is a great game that could have been an all-time great Witcher 3 level game if it corrected a couple things. The stamina bar, weapon durability, poor dungeons, lack of voice acting, lack of towns, lack of memorable characters, lack of a quality story, lack of any kind of quality or even halfway decent side quests, 60 frames per second, lack of any quality boss fights, and then we have the rain. Oh, the rain. Oh man, I can't stand the rain. Now, it sounds like I've named a lot of things that I don't like about this game, but none of these are individually bad things outside of frame rate and the significant issues with the performance. But my main problem is when you have all these tiny, smaller issues that amount to one bigger issue. The game is good, but it is not Witcher 3 good. And in fact, it's nowhere close. Now, the next Zelda very well might be Witcher 3 level if they improve and build upon this game. But you don't want to be comparing yourself to what some other company did 5 years ago, which will probably be the amount of time it will take for the next Zelda game to come out. You want to exceed that. And we all know Cyberpunk is about to raise that bar yet again. So that concludes my review. Good game, solid game, a game I recommend to anybody, whether you're going to buy it on the Switch or the Wii U.